I'm Tony Sklar with bnetTV. We are here in Dallas at the LTE conference and the co-located Connected Car Summit, and I am speaking with Mr. Robert Acker. How are you today, sir?
Doing well, thank you.
Excellent. Listen, for all of our first-time viewers out there in bnetTV land, why don't you give us a brief overview of Harmon and what you're doing here at the Connected Car co-located summit?
Yeah, Harmon is actually the automotive leader in building connected infotainment systems for cars. For branded audio systems, we've got the market leadership position out there, and also for what they call infotainment, which are used to be called car stereos in cars. Harmon's the market leader on both the mid and upper tier segments. So if anybody's got a luxury car, there's a pretty decent chance that we've built the car stereo for them. Now, what we're doing is our auto manufacturing partners have asked us to help bring connected services to those vehicles. So I'm here kind of meeting with other people in the space and talking a bit about some of the initiatives that we've taken in that front. We've recently launched with a number of different auto manufacturers like Honda just last month with a connected service, and a bunch more are going to be coming soon.
If we want to look at the totality of the connected car ecosystem as a whole, let's take it from 4 years ago. Why has there been some barriers to entry in making it, let's say, as technologically oriented as the tablet has come from 4 years ago to today, to where that connected car system is today?
Yeah, I think the challenge, and I mean, there's a bunch of stuff happening in connectivity most people don't realize in terms of what they call E911, or being able to make emergency calls and being able to automatically dial emergency services if your airbag goes off. But that stuff's kind of all generally behind the scenes. But if we think about what most of us think about with car and connectivity and entertainment services, it's a replacement for our smartphone, and that's a very difficult thing to do in a quick time frame. The automotive industry typically designs 3 years in advance, and then they're designing for vehicles that'll last about 10 years. We know every year or faster, you've got a new latest and greatest cell phone, and every month you've got a new app. So really what the industry's been working on is how can they best bring in some of those features in a safe, easy-to-use way in the car that people have come to enjoy on their cell phone, and keep updating that over time even after the car is shipped. And so a lot of the initiatives we're working on are using cloud-based services and working with carriers and automobile manufacturers to help ensure that your car will always stay up to date. We'll give you a user experience in the car that's really safe, but we'll give you the types of things that you want, so you're not tempted to reach down and grab that phone, which is frankly what most people end up doing today, because the cars are still feeling like they were built a decade or so ago, which in most cases that's when they were designed.
Let's talk a little bit about, or comment a little bit about, the idea of a platform, an agnostic-based platform within the vehicle that all systems can inevitably work from, as opposed to an OEM-type system of coming in and having to reinstall something.
Yeah, and so what the cloud gives you, and the cloud's a really overused buzzword these days. Essentially, the cloud just means a place with a bunch of servers that we can access when we want to, and in a very cost-effective way. And what that means is we can take a lot of complexity out of the car, move it to the cloud, to these servers up on the internet, and thus updates that need to happen, new features that need to happen, new services that we want to bring, we can put them as part of that platform. And then if you're a car driving along and you want to access a particular type of data, we'll know who you are, we'll know what your car is and what that car stereo looks like and how it works, and then we'll be able to send the data down that you've requested, specifically formatted for that car stereo. So by going to this kind of model where we use a platform that's really outside of the car that we can update every couple of weeks with new software and new features, we can then allow it to talk to a very stable platform, essentially, or piece of hardware in the car that manufacturers can ship with and can live with, and you as a consumer can have in your vehicle for many years, and still wake up one day and have brand new content and features in your car because they're all coming from this cloud up in the sky.
Robert, what makes Harmon, or in particular AHA, better than your competitors' products?
I think we're really going at it with the driver as our center of focus. So rather than building a somewhat more generic solution, our focus from the beginning has been how do we build something that's automotive-centric and that's driver-centric. And given our leadership space in the industry, it's given us the ability to create something that truly is, I think, the most unique automotive-grade cloud platform. What we're doing is we're taking the internet, which is the last thing on earth that you would consider automotive-grade, with stuff going down all the time and new things popping up, and making that a consistent thing that really works within the car. And we come from the strength of being the market leader in the space from a hardware perspective, but we're also not just building it for our own hardware. We're currently working with 15 different head unit manufacturers other than our own parent company. and 10 different automotive manufacturers are launching services with us. Many of those guys are using multiple different sources for their head unit. And so by being a industry-wide standard, not restricting it to just our own hardware, and by being, at our core, the leading provider of infotainment systems in the automotive industry. The car companies are comfortable working with us, but they also know that they're not wedded to us, and when they want to use other suppliers, they can and still use our platform to make the service work.
Is infotainment still going to be at the top of the food chain when it comes to the connected car ecosystem?
The top of the food chain is always the automotive manufacturer. Infotainment is the way that it renders the experience to the consumer. So I think from that perspective, and it really has become more of a partnership between the guys who are building the hardware and the automotive manufacturers to jointly figure out how can we create an experience. And we're in this together. How do we create something that's safe for the consumer, as I said, and that also is differentiated enough and clearly beneficial to them that they use that and they don't grab the latest model cell phone, which will always be more up-to-date hardware and more up-to-date software than what's in their car.
So for those people who do spend a lot of time in their cars, and then there are many of them who spend hours a day being able to drive, the sense of infotainment, does that move from more of an infotainment to more of a lifestyle that involves social media and other aspects that are either job-oriented or social in nature and having safety at the top of the food chain?
Yes, I would say yes, though I would caveat that yes in terms of there's certain things that it makes sense to do in a car. There's certain things you probably don't need to be engaged in tweeting constantly from your car about a variety of topics. But there are lots of things like the car works really well for consuming content that helps entertain you and keep you informed while you're also able to focus on the road ahead as you're driving. Radio does that really well today, and I think really what all this technology and these clouds and all this stuff amounts to is how do we create something that's got a radio-like experience for the driver. So I get in my car, put the key in the ignition, or frequently just push the start engine button, and it just comes on. Whatever I was listening to last, probably paused from where I was, just continues, and I can very quickly jump between different audio sources or different types of information. Some may be coming from Facebook, some may be coming from some more work-related things, but we're working with the automobile manufacturers and content sources on is how do we serve it up more radio-ish so it is something that can be done in the background, it can be consumed while driving, but it doesn't need to be your primary focus because your primary focus should always be driving, and there's certain things that you can be kept informed of in the car and you can actually have much more personalized information for, but you shouldn't expect to do all of the detailed functionality that you might do outside of the car when you're not focusing on the driving task.
Two final questions for you here. First off, what are we going to see from Harman or AHA here within the next 12 months?
So the AHA platforms, as I mentioned, it's launched on Honda. We've got several other automotive manufacturers. There'll be 10 rolled out by next fall. And those have been around audiobooks and it's been around podcasts and music services and some social networks. What you will see coming from us then is a whole variety of other data services, things related to navigation, voice recognition, pulling in search data and local data, things that our automotive customers have asked us to extend the cloud to use to really be a much more complete solution within the car. And those will start, we're working right now on development projects with them. Those will start coming in the next couple of years. And
then my final question is why is it important to be involved in conferences like the Connected Car Conference?
It's a good place where we can come together in an industry. In order to make this all work, the hardware suppliers, the cloud producers, of which we kind of fit both the auto manufacturers itself who are here, the carriers who are here, we all got to figure out together how to make this work. Because in the end, the consumer, they just want it to work. They don't want to have to think about it. They don't want to have to plug things in and download things and configure and all that. You're in your car, your focus is driving, you're pulling out of the driveway, you're lucky if you get your seatbelt on before you get down the driveway. You're not going to go play around with electronics. So being at a conference like this lets us all get together, lets us all chat, and let's figure out how do we together create joint unified solutions that truly are as easy to use as radio and thus have the potential to be mass market and satisfy consumer needs.
Oh, Robert, if you were one of the bnetTV fans, you'd know that I'm a big liar because this isn't my last question. I got one more. I always have one more. That's the way it works with me. So as the onset of LTE inevitably is established globally and the faster the connection inevitably becomes to the vehicle, what is that going to do to the amount of information that can be disseminated within the vehicle, and how does that increase the viability of your products and then inevitably your business?
I mean, it's the global standard that's of the greatest interest. So the opportunity to have a system that's much more unified worldwide and a much better network build out will help tremendously, because it's true today. In the US, you've got pretty decent coverage. In Europe, there's still a lot of pockets where you've got a lot of holes and it's tough to do streaming services. So having a much more universal standard and a much better network infrastructure will help with that. The actual data throughput, though, I mean, you can do on 3G most everything that you would want to do in a connected car space other than video. And I think, frankly, I would question video should probably be kept to the back seat, and people already have plenty of solutions, I think, to get it there. So really, from the using that full power of the LTE, that could help enable Wi-Fi networks in the car to let passengers do lots of things that they would otherwise want to do outside of the car. But from the driver perspective, the value of that to us, as I said, is just having a much more pervasive network build out that's more universal, so I can have that same car shipped around the world, and I can physically drive all over Europe and have a nice, smooth, consistent service.
Robert, thanks very much for taking the opportunity to speak with us here today at the Connected Car Conference. I hope we get a chance for an update again in the future.
Thank you very much.
Fantastic. I was speaking with Mr. Robert. Don't go away. Come back here. Here comes good added points for you. I've been speaking with Robert Acker from Harmon here at the Connected Car Conference, co-located with the LTE Conference in Dallas. I'm Tony Sklar with bnetTV.